As basketball is starting and the winter's starting to arrive here in the Midwest, you can tell we're at the midseason mark of the NFL season, and that's a great time to take a step back and reflect on what we've seen so far. So Amir is joining the show as always, and not only are we going to hand out some midseason awards, we're going to do everything like our weekly coverage usually has. So game picks, game breakdowns, best bets, and more. So grab your favorite snack, buckle up, and let's talk some ball. Now, week 6 wasn't pretty for one of us, mainly myself, but we bounced back pretty last week. 13-2 for the both of us, and we did that in a different way. Amir, you had Pittsburgh, and of course they lost, and you also had the Chargers, and some calls didn't go their way. They ended up losing to the Colts, and I was on the flip side of that. I had the Colts in that one, but I took the Jets. Really a brutal mistake. They're trying to get the number one pick, and I also lost on that Pittsburgh game as old man Flacco won the Unk Bowl
Man,
against Aaron Rodgers. But Amir, 13-2, man, best week on the year by far.
yeah, man, I lost $1,000 because the Steelers lost, man. Because
Dude,
the Steelers I lost 1,000. Oh no, I didn't lose 1,000, but I missed out on a
right,
thousand.
right. Yeah, you
Yeah,
missed out on 1,000. These long shot parlays are always screwed by these Thursday night games. We've had like 4 straight upsets on Thursday
yeah.
night. Now, usually we would break down the Thursday night game, but the only game I want to break down this week is a game that has a lot of history on its hands. Now, this is the second week in a row we're covering the Steelers and mainly Aaron Rodgers. And this is also the second week in a row that he has some history on his hands that he can break. Last week, of course, it was all the Thursday night records. This week, he has the chance to do something that few quarterbacks have ever done, which is defeat every single franchise in the NFL in a regular season or postseason game. He will join quarterbacks like Brady and Drew Brees in that rankings. There's some others, but those are the biggest two. But they're at home in this one against the Green Bay Packers, his successor in Jordan Love. And outside of being home here, there's not too many advantages for Aaron Rodgers. The Packers have a better roster, better record, better offense, better defense as far as the yards per game numbers. Green Bay is rightfully favored by 3.5 here on the road. But at the same time, it's Aaron Rodgers. This is a team that is finding a way to win, and Mike Tomlin as an underdog, it's never a bad bet. Amir, your thoughts on this Sunday night game?
This is an interesting game. And it's crazy because when I put down on the slides, I put Pittsburgh with the question mark. Now I'm going with Green Bay, but guys, me personally, I could see Pittsburgh winning this outright. And I keep on saying it. Outside of weeks 1 and week 2, Green Bay has not looked that great, man. Like the defense has been up and down. They gave up 40 points to the Cowboys. They lost against Cleveland. Against the Bengals, you saw their offense get stagnant later in that game, but then last week against the Cardinals, they did not look good in my opinion. And I just think they're too heavily reliant on the run, and it's going to be the same thing we keep on saying. Them having a committee receiving core is not going to work. Their defense is great, but I just think with them being 4-1, going on the road, back-to-back road games, which is always tough. And even though Pittsburgh, they lost last week in embarrassing fashion, and defensively they didn't look good, I think Pittsburgh could win. But I'm still going to take Green Bay, but if you're betting, I would not be opposed to Pittsburgh plus 3.5.
Yeah, look, based on principle alone, I can't bet against the Packers in this one because back in 2020, there was a quarterback out of Utah State that nobody was talking about, and it's well documented. I was on the Jordan Love train. So in this game against the quarterback that he's replacing, I got to roll with my guy, Jordan Love. But the reason I'm leaning Pittsburgh or Green Bay, Amir, in this matchup is not only the better roster, but this is the time of year where Matt LaFleur and Jordan Love just find it, or really just Matt LaFleur. Whether if it was Rodgers as his quarterback or again now Jordan Love, this is the time of year where Green Bay starts to win these football games and get hot towards the playoffs. I don't know what it is, but these later stages of the year and into January, Green Bay always finds their stride. So I think it can start here, and I think they can start looking like the team that we thought they were after week number 1. But teams are going to be on bye this week. We have 6 of them. We have a bunch of them in the AFC, a bunch of them in the NFC and 2 in the AFC. You see them on your screen. Of course, in the NFC, we have Arizona, Detroit, the Rams, and the Seattle Seahawks. In the AFC, we have Jacksonville and the Las Vegas Raiders. We have 3 teams that are 5-2 heading into this bye week, Amir. Out of all these 6 teams, however, which team do you think needs the bye week the most, whether based on injuries or their recent schedule, whatever the case may be? Who do you think needs this reset?
Well, I think for obvious reasons, obviously Arizona. I mean, their
Yes.
quarterback is hurt, but in my opinion, the team I think that really needs this is Jacksonville. I mean, Jacksonville, they've had a brutal last 4 weeks. I mean, they've played the Texans, Niners, Chiefs, Seahawks, Rams, five straight juggernaut games. They've lost the last two. I mean, they looked horrible last week. I mean, the Rams did whatever they wanted.
Yeah.
Stafford threw five touchdowns. They lost 35-7. And I just think this is the time where they have to just get a bye week, regroup. Their team is relatively healthy. I think they need a lot of help on defense, specifically in that secondary. They've looked a lot better, and that's been the most impressive thing on the season. But you still see moments where that old Jacksonville defense is back, where they are giving up way too many big plays. They're getting absolutely destroyed. And last week they got annihilated on defense. And so I think this bye week they need this big time regroup, figure some stuff out, and honestly just start grouping back together.
Yeah, I mean Liam Cohen. I mean, I'll start here. It's a very competitive AFC South, which
Yeah.
not a lot of us expected. But for Jacksonville, if you're going to make the wild card or even compete with the division at this point, you need to start winning games and rapidly because the Colts don't look like they're slowing down anytime soon. But here's the full slate. Of course, six teams are on bye, so a little bit less games this weekend. But from Thursday night all the way down in the early slate, we only disagree on one game, and that is the Chicago Bears on the road going to Baltimore to take on the 1-5 Baltimore Ravens. Now, for the Ravens, you're getting a lot of your key players back, most notably Lamar Jackson. We know Lamar doesn't lose against NFC opponents, especially at home. But in this one, I just don't see how Baltimore. I mean, you're putting a lot of pressure on Lamar. Now, granted, he might be a top five player in the world, but you're putting a lot of pressure on him in his first game back to keep up with the Chicago Bears offense that is finding their stride, and Baltimore's defense can't stop anybody. Yes, it's a must-win game for Baltimore, but I mean, Amir, do you think that you can rely on Lamar to get you 30 plus points in his first game back?
So, honestly, that's my biggest concern. And this is a major trap game. I wouldn't bet Baltimore money line straight up if I'm betting on this game because the odds aren't worth it. This is a game where I just think, honestly, I believe in the Ravens defense this game. And I know it sounds crazy, but they showed me a big time spark last week. Against the Rams. I mean, they neutralized that Rams offense, slowed them down, got red zone stops, and it kind of reminded me like last year. Backs against the wall, season on the line. You saw these veterans step up. You saw Zach Orr call a better game, and I just think all the pressure's on Baltimore. I mean, they're in a do or die situation, and the same as that reason why I chose Kansas City to beat Detroit a couple weeks ago. They're desperate. When you have a Hall of Fame quarterback, when you have a Hall of Fame coach, when you have Hall of Fame players on the roster and they're desperate, backs against the wall, I think this is a game where Baltimore wins. And I also think it's honestly a game where Lamar isn't going to have to score 30 plus points. I think this will be a lower scoring game because the Bears defense has also played great these past few
Yeah.
weeks. And so I think this is a game where it's going to be lower scoring. I think Baltimore finds a way to barely win this.
Talked about Green Bay, Pittsburgh. Washington is going to be without Jaden Daniels, so that's probably just going to be a blowout. As Kansas City up here, they look like the best team in the league. At this point in time, we're skipping power rankings this week, but do you think Kansas City, with Rashee Rice back, is the best team in football?
They're my favorite right now. So if I was to make my power rankings for this week, I wouldn't put them as one because I feel like that's
Outrageous.
kind of not doing justice for a team like Detroit or Indianapolis. But I just think, man, like Kansas City is my personal favorite right now. I mean, with Rasheed Rice coming back, you even saw how dominant this offense was when Worthy came back. I mean, they have speed, they have short and intermediate route running. The only knock that they have is they can't run the football, but it does not matter because Mahomes is that good, he's that great. And defensively, it's only a matter of time until they finally start clicking again. And Steve Spagnuolo is a mastermind.
Yeah. It sounds like Kansas City's still hungry to add more talent to
Yeah.
this offense. They're connected to guys like Calvin Ridley, guys like Tony Pollard in that Tennessee offense that can add a jolt to this offense. If they had any holes, they can surefire them here in just a few weeks as the trade deadline approaches. Now, before we get into the awards, the last thing we want to do is our best bets. And last week, I got too cocky, as I knew it kind of would. I dropped both of my best bets last week as far as player props. I'm 7-5. Amir's 8-4. Game lines, we are about the same at 4-3. But let's get into it, man. Let's continue this momentum. We're still very high as far as our percentages throughout the season. And let's start with our game lines. In week 8, the team that we just talked about, the Kansas City Chiefs, they are my favorite as well. They were my favorite in the preseason because I didn't think any team could knock them off when it came to playoff time. But with Rashi Rice back, they just look like they look like the old offenses where nobody could keep up with the Chiefs, let alone just I don't know. It's hard to imagine the Chiefs losing to too many teams before this season comes to an end. I think with Marcus Mariota on the road, with no Scary Terry, with maybe no Debo Samuel, and a run defense in Kansas City that will stop Krosky Merritt, I just don't see how Washington moves the football. Give me Kansas City minus 10 points. I don't know. I can't see Mariota making some magic happen on Monday Night Football. But Amir, you're going with a team that has won 4 straight games. They're 2-1 on the road this season, and we talked about them just a moment ago.
Yeah, I was going to say first, I love this pick. This pick, I love it. And normally when spreads are this big, I don't take them, but I love this. I think the Commanders are going to get absolutely
Yeah.
smoked. And honestly, like if I was you guys, I'm taking Mariota's rushing yards. I'm taking his passing yards
Yeah.
because there's going to be so many garbage time stats. It's going to be ridiculous. It's going to be crazy. And so for my pick, I'm taking the Bears +7. And so we just talked about it. I mean, you have Chicago winning outright. I have this game being a close one. I think this will be like a really just nasty game. And I understand both offenses have looked really good. Baltimore's offense has looked great with Lamar in there. But, I mean, really, I just see this game being gross. I just think with Lamar's hamstring, I think his running dynamic will be limited. I think it'll be slowed down. And so it'll be him trying to beat this team with his arm. I see, I can see a lot of check downs. And this is being a very slow paced game by two defenses that have played better these past few weeks. But man, I could see Chicago winning outright on the road here. And I could also see Baltimore just barely squeezing this one out.
For my favorite player prop on the week, I'm going to go back to that Sunday night matchup that we talked about at the top of the show. Jordan Love against the person he succeeded in, Aaron Rodgers. I think he knows that in this matchup he needs to show out. When he plays bottom tier passing defenses like Dallas, he went for over 370 passing yards. I think in this one, you can get him at 235.5 on Fanatics. He's covered this line in 3 out of 5 games. I just think that if the Packers are going to play like I project them to, they're going to throw the ball all over the field. They're going to win this game maybe by a score or two. And I got Jordan Love having a pretty big day against his old mentor. So Jordan Love, pick number 1. First time I'm going with him this season. Now, Amir, you're also going with a passing yards play, and this is a line that's been covered in 3 straight games. But who are you going with?
I'm taking Carson Wentz over 220.5 passing yards. And it's crazy I'm taking this, but he has been an absolute gunslinger. He has been on a heater. And that first week when he starting, I mean, he threw for 173 yards against the Bengals in his 48-10. But the thing we got to understand, that game was a blowout past the first quarter, and he still threw for 170 yards. I mean, the past 3 weeks, he's averaging over 40 pass attempts. I mean, last week against the Eagles, 42 attempts. Against the Browns, 34 attempts. Against the Steelers, 46 attempts. He had 350 yards against Pittsburgh, 240 against the Browns, and 313 against the Eagles. And now he's playing against the Chargers, whose defense has been absolutely garbage. It's in prime time. I think this would be more of a pass-heavy game script and maybe a slightly high-scoring game. I think this would be in the 40s. I think this is a game where he lets loose. They go in shotgun, and he airs the ball out.
I just love how this screen has the 2 best quarterbacks in NFL history. Two guys that I've loved. If you guys don't know off the show, I was a big Carson Wentz guy. But now my second player prop is really just banking on the talent of this player. This is a guy that has been kind of held in check all season long after last year being an MVP candidate. I think this is a week where, hey, last week they threw the ball all over the field. Let's get the ball on the ground here against his old team, Saquon Barkley. I couldn't believe the line, but this is how much he's been struggling. Over 99.5 rushing and receiving yards. So total scrimmage yards for Saquon to be 100 or more. I just think I like it, man. You're at home. You're a double-digit favorite. If you're up big, Saquon can, hey, he can control the game on his legs. But this is also a, New York Giants defense that is bottom 5 against the run and the pass. So for Saquon, he's in a favorable matchup. And I just think eventually we have to see that patented 60-yard breakout run from Saquon like we saw so many times in last year and in years prior. I think that can happen this week. So Saquon against the Giants, he can get this train back on the right direction and really just cement the Chiefs and the Eagles as the best 2 teams in football yet again. Now, Amir, you're going with a line that's been covered in a lot of games this season. Let me know where you're going.
I'm taking Michael Penix under an interception. And this is funny because like you always got these normal plays, and I always got these random like plays that are just like in these random sports
You've
books.
cashed on every single one of the under interception plays this year.
It's just crazy because it's so random. And you know, for this one right here, I mean, he's playing against Miami at home. Miami has the worst run defense in the league. I think this would be a heavy run game. I could see Bijan going for like 150, maybe like 200 total yards, and I just see this game being the blowout. I think it'll literally just be them just chewing the clock out. Penix is just getting it done. He might throw for 150 yards, and I see him cruise through this game. And the Dolphins only have one pick on the year so far, so I think he goes under easily.
I mean, if this was a strictly just an Amir show, this is a guy that would be telling you guys to take Quinn Ewers over 1.5 rushing yards. Amir finds like the most pocket passer quarterbacks, and he finds their lines of going over 2.5 rushing yards, and it hits
uh,
every time. It's funny. Tua's like the prime example of that. But I took Jared Goff for 1 rushing yard in that game against the Bucks, and it hit. So those quarterback rushing yards, man, don't sleep on them
yeah.
if it's a pocket passer. But let's go to Thursday night before we get into the awards, and I promise this is the last thing. But Amir has a play for us. Hey, go through it. Let me know your thoughts on all of this. But this could be a nice chunk of change before we head into the weekend of NFL action.
So first one right here, Herbert. Oh, actually, first of all, let me backtrack. So this is a game where once again the Vikings they blitz a lot, and the Chargers have been getting pressure, and so this would be a heavy pass game for the Chargers. I mean, they have the RB1 and RB2 out. Hassan Haskins is not going to be able to run the ball on this team, so I think Herbert's going to throw the ball 40 plus times, and so Herbert's covered this line on the season even before his offensive line was started. He's covered a total of 6 out of 7 games for 22 plus completions. Last week he had 37. The week before that 29. 22, 23, then 28. And so, I mean, literally 37 completions last game in a blowout, but then 29 the week before. I think he covers this. I've Herbert for 15 plus rush yards. And like I mentioned, the Vikings, Brian Flores, they blitz a lot. They don't give up a lot of rushing yards to quarterbacks, but they've also played a lot of pocket passers. But once again, they're going to blitz him. He's going to take off. Last week, he had 31 yards. Against the Commanders, he had 60 yards. Their tackles are going to get destroyed. I see him rolling out and doing what he can to win them this game. And like I mentioned earlier, Carson Wentz, 200 plus, 10 plus pass yards. He is going to sling the ball 40 plus times as well. I think he covers this close to 300 yards.
Yeah.
And I have Minnesota and the Chargers over 34.5. I think this is free. The reason why I took this over right here, this is, a free prop just to get it over plus 300. But I think this cashes. The only one I can see being a bit close is the rush yards. But like I mentioned, he's going to get blitz. He's going to roll, and he should cash in at least 2 rushing attempts.
Yeah, I mean, this could just be a straight up just Superman kind of performance from Justin Herbert. We get some of those games every single season, and on a Thursday night with all the injuries, this could be that game for the Chargers that look to continue their momentum. Now, Amir, do you have the odds pulled up by you? I was lazy, I didn't find it. You said it was plus 300?
Yep. So last night when I looked, it was around plus 340 on DraftKings.
So
So
if
I
it's
think it's,
So
yeah.
even if it goes down to plus 300, there's all these props on DraftKings and all these other sites where if you get a plus 300, throw a boost on there. Hey, it's plus 500, plus 600, and all of a sudden, hey, you're like 5 timesing your money. Any last thoughts on this before we get into awards?
Yeah, I think this is a great. I think this is free. Normally, I like to keep it to 3 legs and be safe, but I just don't see an avenue in which the Chargers run the football. I could only see them just throwing the ball a bunch this game.
Well, let's get into our NFL awards on the season. We're going to go through some of the major awards around the league. Let us know your thoughts in the comments section below. Again, these are all subjective, and hey, we're going to have some fun. Also, let's clarify. This is based on what we've seen so far. This is not us projecting who's going to get it at the end of the year. As of right now, who should get these awards? These are our votes. For me, it's Jonathan Taylor as the MVP of the league this season. Now, I do want to say this offensive line and Quentin Nelson has been tremendous to start the season, and that's the reason why Jonathan Taylor has over 700 yards on the ground. He's had, 25 receptions. He's the league's leading rusher, league's leading touchdown getter. He's had 3 games of 3+ touchdowns, and this is the only team in the league with 6+ wins. So, best player, best team. I think Jonathan Taylor is my midseason MVP. But again, show some love to that offensive line, most notably Quentin Nelson. But Amir, you're going with a guy that I have so much love for. This is a guy that I had as a top 9 quarterback before the season, and he's playing up to it. Let me know your thoughts.
So for me, I was going to put down two names, JT and Baker. But you took JT, which he rightfully deserves to be in this conversation. And people think Danny Dimes is the reason why this offense is the engine. No, it's Jonathan Taylor. I mean, he's the reason why they punted less than 15 times this year. I mean, he has been dominant on the ground, on the air. He has carried this team. I mean, they should have easily beat the Rams if that holding call didn't to take that long run away. And
Yeah.
so, shout out to JT. My MVP is Baker, by no surprise. I think this should be the clear and cut favorite right now. And Baker, it's just crazy because I've called the Bucks frauds these previous years, and it's like, I mean, this year they not only have been injured, but they have been the most injured roster in the league. I mean, he lost his number one receiver, number two
Yeah.
receiver, number three receiver, his RB1. The O line is banged up, the defense is garbage, and they still only have two losses. He has been great. He has carried this team, and for me, I want to. Josh Allen won MVP this year. He's obviously my favorite player, but Baker deserves it. I mean, I don't think anyone in the league at this stage would have played any better with this team as of now in the first 7 weeks. I think he's been that great.
Yeah, I mean, when you talk about just it factor, that's Baker Mayfield, right? It's not a guy that has, all the physical tools of a Josh Allen or a Lamar Jackson, but his heart is there. He just has that it factor that you want to rally behind him. And again, it's showing off and it's paying off because they're one of the best teams in the league as of this point in time. Now, Defensive Player of the Year, I'm going to let you go first here, Amir. You have been raving about Nick Bonito all season long. And I want you to break it down here for us, man. Again, Broncos top five defense on the season, and this might be the leader of it.
Man, Nick Bonito is dominant. I mean, this dude is crazy. I mean, like this is one of those players where when you go ahead and you just look at draft boards, you kind of skim over him here. And it's like I don't know who this dude is, but it's like these past few years, man, he has been dominant. He has been by far the best defensive player in football, in my opinion. I mean, he's literally unblockable. I mean, he has 8 sacks on the year. I believe he's second in the race right now, behind Brian Burns and Byron Young. Byron Young, I mean, they're both tied. But
Yeah.
it's like he's on the D line where he's literally anchoring this whole entire D line, in my opinion. The D line is good, but he's just, I mean, when you're watching him week to week, he's back there in 2 seconds. Like when I watch, Brian Burns, for example, I mean, he has three other elite pass rushers with him. I mean, Nick Bonito is dominant. He's great, even with a great secondary behind him. He's literally unblockable, and so he's my decoy right now.
Yeah, for my depoy, I could have just went with the same rationale of, hey, best player on the best defense, and that could be Myles Garrett, because as of right now, to anchor this terrible Browns defense when they're on the field 75% of the game and they still have the least amount of yards given up, Miles does have his times where he disappears. And as Browns fans, we're like, hey, this is where Miles needs to step up. But he is the most double and triple teamed player in the league. So Miles has a great argument for the midseason defensive player of the year, despite them having a losing record. You can also give great shouts to Micah Parsons and others around the league. But I'm going to go with a defensive coordinator, because for how many injuries that this dude has had to deal with so far in his first year as a D coordinator, Kelvin
Man,
Shepard is my defensive player of the midseason mark. I get it. He's not suiting up on the field, but this dude, man, with
he's
his
great.
energy, he's the perfect D coordinator for a guy like Dan Campbell, man. His energy, of course, you see it on the sideline, you hear it, and it's showing off on the field, man. With all the injuries they've had, I mean, they're still one of the better defenses in the league. Obviously, if you want me to give you an exact player answer, sure, let's give it to Hutch because he's anchoring that injured defense. But as an overall impact at the midseason mark, I like Kelvin Shepard. Amir, your thoughts?
I think he's amazing. Honestly, right now, he's my favorite coach in the league. And I keep on just spamming videos of him in the group chat.
Yeah,
But this
yeah.
guy, Browns, make this call. Make
Yes,
him
we
our
are.
head
We are.
coach.
We
I'm
are
all
Browns
for it.
fans, and we need this dude.
Seriously. Seriously, I'm all for it. We've been raving about a culture change. This is a guy who has the perfect culture, and I keep on saying it. I think he's already a better coach than Aaron Glenn. I keep on saying it. I
Yeah.
mean, I mean, with the even worse defense, with the even more injured roster, his defense is better than it was last year. I mean, this up front, like this front seven in this D line, they're still lacking in pass rush, and he's still building up so many schemes to where it's like, I mean, literally, I'm watching the Lions against the Ravens and against the Bucks. I'm thinking they have like four all pro pass rushers. Like it's insane. And it's like, I mean, they had a whole practice squad core full of DBs, and they were playing like the freaking Legion of Boom last week against the Bucks. It was insane. And I just think this guy, his culture, his approach, Browns make the call, make him our head coach. and bring on Mike McDaniel for our play caller on offense.
Look, if it's not John Gruden, we need someone else that can change the culture because sure, you can grab all the guys that know their X's and O's, but in Cleveland, we need a complete reset. And like you mentioned, that culture change is huge. Kelvin Shepard can be the guy, the engine to that change here in Cleveland. But let's move on to the coach of the year. This is a no-brainer. A team that before the year I had slated for 7 to 9 wins. They already have 6-1. Right, they're the only team in the league with 6 wins, and this is a team that has Daniel Jones as their starting quarterback. Before the season, literally a week before the year, this team didn't have a starting quarterback announced for this team, but they're 6-1. Like I've mentioned a couple times here already, they don't have the most talented defense, but they're playing together. And again, this offense is on fire under the Shane Steichen system and Jonathan Taylor's legs. Amir, your thoughts on Mr. Steichen? He finally has the roster where he's able to put it all together.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't even conversation. And I had them as a borderline playoff team coming into this year. And once they signed Danny Dimes, I was like, he's going to be the starter. Like, he's already better than AR. I think he's going to be somewhat decent. I think he's going to literally be a game manager. But he's been even exceeding my expectations. Steichen has even been exceeding my expectations. And me and you both, we've been extremely high on these past couple years. And I keep on mentioning it. We would have been talking about him differently last year if they would have beat Houston in 23 and made the playoffs with Gardner Minshew at quarterback.
Yeah.
And it's like last year they had AR, that they had Flacco, and they were a dumpster fire. But this year they had have a somewhat quality starting quarterback on their offense with the healthy Jonathan Taylor. And I think what's been impressive too was like, similar to Jacksonville, is like defensively they've been even better. I mean, like their secondary isn't good, but up front, man, like their blitz packages, I mean, the ability to slow the run down, I think that's been extremely impressive. And I think Steichen is not only a great morale coach, but he's an amazing play caller. It's fun to watch them.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, shocking the world. The next thing I need him to do is develop Leatu Latu because I was a big stand for that guy coming out of UCLA, and he's been injured, but he's healthy now. Let's get him on the right direction because he could be a dominant pass rusher. Now, rookie, we kind of just put it all together. Who's been the best rookie at the midseason mark? And it's undoubtedly been Emeka Ibuka, leading all receivers in yards, probably receptions. I know for touchdowns for sure. But if I want to throw other rookies out there just to give them some love, Quinshon Judkins of the Cleveland Browns obviously has really come on out of being suspended first couple weeks. But the runner-up for me actually is a guy that I was trying to sell you guys on in the group chat all summer long. Carson Schwarzenegger, man, a guy out of UCLA. Apparently, I just love the Bruins. But a guy that only had 1 year of playing linebacker in college, and then he transfers to the NFL, and he's leading the league in tackles at the rookie position, at the linebacker position. Incredible pickup there in the second round from our GM, Andrew Berry, as much as I don't want to say that. But Carson Schwarzenegger would be my runner-up. Amir, run us through why you have Emeka at number one.
Actually, it's crazy. Last night, or really Sunday, I changed my mind and I
Okay.
forgot to update this. But my rookie of the year is Jackson Dart. And I understand, he's missed.
Another one of my guys.
I mean, seriously, and I understand he's missed the first few weeks, but he's been great. He's been impressive. And it's just crazy because with his play style, I'm not sure if it'll be long term substantial because it's a lot of backyard football, him just making plays.
Yes.
But it's like, I mean, the backyard football is working. I mean, he's making plays, but I don't know how he's pulling it off. I mean, he's rolling out the pocket, not sliding, getting beat up,
He's
throwing on
playing
a
like a
run.
young Russell Wilson.
I mean, seriously, and it's like some of these plays he's making, it says big time no goes in football, and he's just cooking. I mean, like he torched the Eagles, he torched that elite Broncos defense last week. I mean, they literally looked helpless for a whole 3 quarters of the football game. And so Dart is mine, but Emeka, I want to really just shine light on him because he's been amazing. He's been great, man. And it's like with all the pressure on him of Mike Evans being out, Chris Godwin being out, with Kate Otten being banged up, he has literally shouldered this team in this past game. I mean, scoring a touchdown. He has 6 touchdowns on the year so far.
A lot.
I mean, seriously, it's nuts. And it's like people keep trying to pull up these PFF stats of him. He has like one of the lowest separation rates whatsoever. I personally don't care. He's making plays. He's scoring touchdowns, and he literally anchoring this pass game for Baker.
So I didn't know that about the low PFF grades, but I'll
Yeah.
say this. He was known as a route runner in college. If you're telling me that at the pros he's dominating without his best trait, it's going to be scary when he finds that best trait and gets that trust with Baker on the field. He might be an all-pro if that's the case. So
Yeah.
no, really, there's not a real point to bring up those PFF stats when you're talking about a player's best trait. in year
Exactly.
number one. Not even a full year for Emeka Buka, and he's still dominating. But the most shocking team is not an official award, obviously. But I wanted to ask Amir this question because coming into the year, we all have our different expectations for each ball club. Some we have going to the Super Bowl and winning it. Some we think are going to be pretty much not non-playoff teams like the Indianapolis Colts, and I'll admit that. But for me, I still think the most shocking team is the Baltimore Ravens. Amir, you tend to agree. Is it strictly just because of the injuries, or what? Why are you so shocked that the Ravens are this bad, 1-5 at this point in the season?
Man, it's really just a collection full of things, and it's like before the year, I had the Rams going all the way, and it's like not the Rams, the Ravens. But it's like with the Ravens, I had my mind made up. I was like, I can see them smoking Buffalo. I don't see the Chiefs beating them. I don't see the Colts beating them, Broncos whatsoever. But they have hit a complete dumpster fire, a complete switch, and it's like even without all the injuries. I mean, Week 1 was straight up embarrassing. Even when they played against Cleveland, it was like 41-17 the final score, but they still didn't look that good. And it's like the defense. They have looked so garbage, even at full health. Roquan
Yeah.
has been bad. Kyle Hamilton isn't consistent being able to guard fast receivers. On the outside, Jair has been terrible. And it's like offensively, too. Literally, I mean, their strength is the offense. Their strength is the offensive line. The offensive line, full health, has been garbage. Derrick Henry has been fumbling, getting stopped. Lamar, even though his stats look great, he holds onto the football, hasn't been throwing the football away, and has been taking sacks that he could easily evade and easily prevent. And it's like when you pair that up with the injuries, when you pair that up with Harbaugh, and this chemistry for this team is looking like it's been horrible. I think they've been by far the most shocking team in a bad way. But
Yeah.
but a positive team for me outside the Colts have been Seattle.
Yeah. This week I was excited to talk about them in my power rankings because I keep track of mine. I ranked every team 1 to 32 every week, and they are the only team that every since week 1 to now has moved up spots every single week. They were in my top 5 this week. So, Seattle, not a team. That's another team. I didn't have Seattle making the playoffs. I had them right outside with San Fran. But they're shocking me, and it looks like they're going to make it pretty much with ease there with Sam Darnold at the quarterback position. Amir, midseason awards are in the books. I know you are you're fond of this midseason award idea. But next week we're going to do some playoff predictions. So again, midseason mark, we want to try and project the future, look at their team schedules, and who can be in contention for the biggest dance here in a couple months. But Amir, any last thoughts about today's episode before we head into Week 8, which starts with the Vikings and the Chargers?
It's week 8 already, man.
Yes.
I'm kind of pissed, man. I want the season to move slower.
This year, I don't know if it's just because I'm getting older, but the older you get, the faster these seasons fly by week to week. But it's crazy, man. I mean, I don't know. Again, we already are at Week 8. I know we have like 11 total weeks left if you count this week, but still, it's flying by.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. But me, I love football. It's great. The NBA is starting at the exactly perfect time, and I can't wait, man. It's sports all year round.
Yeah, Cavs. By the time you guys are seeing this, hopefully the Cavaliers are 1-0. Regardless, hopefully the Cavs can go win the finals this year. Amir, before we get out of here, really quick, who's your NBA Finals pick this year? Before we get out of here, it's the last minute of the podcast, so let me
Man,
know your finals pick in the West and the East. Who you have winning it?
my finals pick. I think the Cavs go all the way this year, and I think out of the West, I think OKC still goes, and I think they go back to back. And I don't want to break this non back to back trend that's been going on these past years. I could see them losing against Houston, losing against Minnesota, losing against the Clippers, but all those teams have major deficiencies. OKC still has the same exact roster, but their star core players are even better. So I don't see them losing out the
Yeah.
West.
Well, I went Knicks, Nuggets. Nuggets take it home to continue that streak of a different champion every single year. But that's gonna do it. We'll see you guys next week.